Jigna Pasan Malvankar, and I am a community builder, founder of Bookaholics Book Club. Thanks everyone for joining today uh, on our Instagram live series. And our guest of today's series is the author Tanushree Podder. So let me just see if she has joined. Okay, I will just add Tanushree. Hi, yeah, I have
Hey,
added you.
Jigna.
Hi,
Hi,
Tanushree.
everybody.
Hi, how are
Hello.
you?
I'm
Finally.
fine. Yes, finally. Hi, everybody who is tuned in now.
Yes, yeah. Thanks a lot, Tanushree, for giving us time for joining us live
Pleasure.
in today's session. I know we had been waiting for almost a year. I think just before the pandemic started, it was like we were just going to meet, and the whole thing just couldn't go
Yeah, we
on.
were supposed to be in person and
Yes.
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It will happen, but at least we can still have a live conversation with others. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you, and I am actually very excited. I am just falling short of words.
No,
Okay,
my pleasure entirely.
so let's get started. So, just to give a brief overview to every one of you, I think I have almost posted about her, but Tanushree is actually a very, I mean, I can say a very great and renowned author, and she has actually written like more than 10 books. But I think what she says, there are a lot of non-fiction books which she has written, and she is also a travel blogger and a columnist before I think you started writing a novel. And uh, I think I will just start asking her questions, and I would. I mean, let her describe herself. So, yeah, Tanu, before we go ahead with your books and anything, just tell something about yourself. Like, how did you start, like, writing the book? But before, like, yeah, where do you stay, and
Uh,
what do you do? Yeah.
yeah. So, my husband being in the army, we have been all over the country. And
Okay.
finally, of course, we have settled down in Pune. My writing journey started pretty early. I should say that I was very interested in writing when I was a child. And
Wow.
I have been always been a storyteller uh, in my childhood. So I used to do skits and things like that, write them, and we used to perform. Little children, how we used to gather and in someone's drawing room perform a skit kind of a thing. So that's how it started, and it continued to grow. And I'm a voracious reader. I have always been a very voracious reader right from childhood. So much so that I was known as, a social person, not, given to making friends or talking to people. Whenever I visited someone, I would be hunting around for a book or a magazine, and then I'll take that and go to a corner and sit down and read that. So I was so obsessed with reading, and I think that sort of gave me the ability to express myself. And my mother encouraged my, pursuit of writing and reading. She herself was a literary person, and she was an MA
Wow.
in Hindi literature, which is very rare in Bengalis. So, and she
Exactly.
used to
Yes.
teach. So that's how my love for writing and reading grew.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then from there, it was like a natural outcome that I would start contributing to the school magazines and the college. How, children grow, and then you become more ambitious as you
Right.
see your name in print. And then I started freelancing after a while for many magazines, some of which have disappeared now, some like Eve's Weekly, which were very, very famous that time,
Okay.
Flair, and all those magazines, and Femina. So the format was a little different for each magazine. Then you learn to mold your voice accordingly. So you
Right.
really, know that if I'm writing a story for Femina, it's got to be different. If it is for some other magazine, it's slightly different. And then since my husband was in a transferable job, and we traveled every 2 years to a new place, and some of the places were like totally off the map kind of places where hardly people go and things like that. So that
Exactly. Yes.
brought in a love for traveling was always there, and that brought in a desire to tell people about these places.
Right.
And that's how I became a travel writer.
Mm-hmm.
And as a travel writer, then I was invited by various tourism boards, and I went to many countries across the
Wow.
continents.
Okay.
So that continued for many years. And in the background were the books in making, which I was working on. I started, with non-fiction, because we were posted at some way out places, and there was no computer in those days, so I had to type it out, and then it used to go by post. And the farther the place, the less connected it is, and the
Yes.
more time it takes for you to hear from people.
Yes.
So sometimes you don't even know whether your manuscript or something reached the person.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's how we started. I mean, I started, and after writing quite a few nonfiction, I sort of grew a little bored. I don't know. I have this very awful habit. I get bored pretty easily with one particular subject. Then I want to do something different.
Okay.
So then I said, why not write a novel? And then I stepped into fiction. And
Wow.
once I stepped into fiction, there was no looking back. I
Wow.
have been writing fiction since then. And then again, various genre, like I have written a historical, which is that Nurjahan's daughter, Escape from Harem, two books which I have done in, very historical Mughal background.
Right.
And then I have done murder mysteries, and then I have done military books
Right. Yeah.
on army, the lighter side of army, basically.
Yes.
Not the gun toting people, killing at the border, not that kind,
Mhm.
but the
Right.
people behind that, the human face of those
Mhm.
soldiers.
Mhm.
So it's been fun books, really.
Okay, so that's quite a like a journey, and I must say that of course you travel to a lot of places. I think we'll talk about that as well. That I think you have traveled more than like 40 countries, right? I actually read somewhere. Yeah, and I think you just said now. So when I think when you are traveling to these places and when you are actually writing it down, like what were your views when you were actually traveling and when you were writing, and like how did you connect with the readers, like and how did it feel?
See, in travel writing, there are various aspects again. You could be writing about food, cuisine, about a place,
Right.
of a place. Or you could be writing about the heritage of a place, or you could be writing about the architectural wonders in that place, and so on and so forth. You can even write about the music and the folk dances. So, it depends on your interest. And I have this multifarious interest in all kinds of things. So I used to, love talking to people. Sometimes I used to talk to people on the street to get more information and
Right.
take pictures and then make notes and then come back and write stories about those places. And then they were published in various magazines and newspapers. And so it kept me busy for many years. And I think there was hardly not even 6 month gap between one travel and the other. So even when we are posted to far-flung places, I used to drive down, say like we were in Pithoragarh, I had to drive down to for 8 hours on the
Wow.
winding roads to reach the nearest railhead, which was Kathgodam. And from there, take an overnight train to reach the Delhi International Airport. And then, embark on my international journey. So it was very tiring. By the time I got to the new country, it used to be,
Yes.
pretty I would be very, very tired. But that didn't stop me from, continuing the experience and enjoying the experience.
Exactly. So I think your one of the book, I think that's Solo in Singapore. That is the only travel novel as you have written as of now.
Uh, it's actually not a travel novel as such.
Okay.
See, this is the one.
Wow. Yes. I really
So,
like the cover. It's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, actually, it's a novel based on the experience of a girl's, travel. Not
Mm-hmm.
really travel in that sense. She gets heartbroken in India, and to escape it all,
Mm-hmm.
she travels and she goes to Singapore. And
Mm-hmm.
once she reaches there, she wants to be there. She had the visa for a month, then she runs out of money. She has to get a job so that she can extend her visa. So she has this funny weird experiences, very funny ones, where she works illegally, then she finds a job, and a lot of experiences and adventure, because she joins up with another Australian girl who's full of fun. So they
Okay.
both explore the country, and that sort of constitutes the background of the book.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean that definitely sounds like exciting. Especially, I think you might have covered most of the things in Singapore in that book, plus the journey of a girl. Yes, so it will be
It so happened that my daughter was at Singapore for a very long time. She was there for 8 years.
wow.
And I went
Okay.
and stayed with her off and on.
Okay.
Apart from the journeys that I undertook as a travel writer, I went and stayed
Okay.
with my daughter for a long time. So I had this exposure to the culture and the quirky nature of the people. So it's a very hilarious book, actually,
Okay.
dealing with the quirky kind of people and things like that.
Yes. And I think before we start about your latest book, but I see that your journey started as a writer, like writing the fiction books in 2000, right? There are a lot many books which you had published in 2000, 2001. So,
2000 and 2001 actually were non-fiction.
oh, sorry,
The first
non-fiction. Yes.
fiction,
Yeah.
yeah. So the first fiction I think was
In
Bootswells, and
2005.
yeah, sometime in 2005 or 6. This was
Yes.
the first one,
Yes,
Nurjahan's daughter.
Nurjahan's daughter. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, but before, please tell
Yeah,
about your journey about non-fiction books in 2000 and 2001. I think I saw a
yeah,
lot many books you have written on health, on soul, on happiness, and yeah, how to relax and live your life. So I want to know all about it. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, I have always been very fitness, caring person. So diet
Of
and
course,
exercise.
sorry to interrupt you, but of course you are in army, so I am sure like your husband and I think you might be following that as
Yeah,
well.
my husband, of course, but even by nature, I have been, right from my teenage, I have been, very, very active, in exercising, and not very fond of eating rubbish and junk food and things like that. So,
Wow.
we have been doing this, at least walking for, I think, I can't even remember when I started walking, long, long walks. So there's maybe about 30 years back, and
Wow.
that continues. And then we, of course, we do yoga and things like that. So my interest lay in these fields, and I always feel that health itself is not just physical health. It's a holistic
Yes.
coverage of the
Yes.
mind, body, and the soul. So,
Yes.
unless you are healthy in all three, you cannot call yourself fit. So, like now we are seeing in COVID times how disturbed people are.
Right.
We are all
Yes.
very upset. We're all mentally, strained. Someone or the other whom we know is suffering from the virus, or we are hearing something. So we ourselves have that fear. There's a constant fear of falling prey to the virus and getting COVID and things like that. So in such times, it's all the more necessary for people to be mentally very agile and fit to be able
Yes.
to cope, because
Right.
the mind rules the body. So most of my book in the initial years had this aspect. So there was this fit and fine in body and mind. Then uh, you are what you eat.
Yes.
Then
You are what you. Yes.
detoxification for the mind, body, and soul. So such books, and of course they still remain popular. But then I have moved on, and it's not that I
Yes.
have lost interest in fitness, but there's
Yes.
only that many you can write. You can't continue to write that your entire life.
Absolutely.
So
Right. Yes.
you need new challenges and new topics to hold your interest.
And definitely, I think non-fiction, you write it at any point of time, but I think people read it. Like, yeah, as you said, now in the COVID situations, I think people are more stressed, depressed. So sometimes they go
Yes.
to this kind of self-help books. And yeah, it definitely helps you. Like, now there are a lot of sources, but of course, the books definitely helps you. And, people keep on even asking about that at any
Right.
point of time. Yeah. And now coming to your next question is about your first novel, like as a like fiction, which published Nurjahan's Daughter in 2005. So how did you decide that you want to write on this, or how was it like this subject, and how did it click?
I have been always been interested in history. So, and Mughal history fascinated me somehow. Something or the other about it was very fascinating because of the harem and the secluded life the women led. Something, it was a very romantic notion to you saw it in the movies and read about it. So, and it so happened that we were also posted at Agra for a fairly long time, and we were very staying very close to the Taj Mahal. So it was like about a distance of 4 kilometers from our place or something. So every time people came, we had to take them on a, Agra darshan. And Taj Mahal, Itmadullah, and all those places were like Sikandra. We had to cover. I don't know how many times I must have taken people there, and every time I went, I found something new, you know, and I came back and read about it, and I was really fascinated. And slowly and gradually, I decided, why not write a book on Mughal with a Mughal background. And Nurjahan is a very fascinating character. She's a person whom you really can't decipher in one book. You know, there's so many aspects to her.
Yes.
So she made a very interesting character. But
Mm-hmm.
then I also like to write about unknown people. So Nurjahan's daughter was one person who was not much written about. In fact, you'll hardly find any information about her
Absolutely.
in
Yes.
history books or anywhere. So I said, okay, now let me give her a little prominence. Let me put her center stage and create the book
Based
with
on.
her in the center
Yes.
stage
Mm.
and the Mughal background and everything that took place during that time. And that is how Nurjahan's daughter was born. And till date, this has sold I don't know how many thousand copies. And every third person I meet knows me as the author of Nurjahan's daughter.
Nurjahan. Yes, absolutely.
So that was like my first venture into fiction.
Okay.
And the next one was very different. That was Boots, Bells, Berets, which
I
is
was
like
actually, yeah, coming to that.
that.
Yeah. That is also
Yeah,
very
that
popular, and I think that's a military-based thriller, right?
it's not a thriller. It's about the life of cadets in the NDA,
Okay.
and it's a very fun book about four young boys who get into the academy and the kind of mischief they create there, the kind of punishments and ragging and things. It's a hilarious book again,
Okay.
and that's the
Okay.
one which is going to be adapted. into a web
Yes.
series.
Yes, we'll come to that. But before that, your latest book, No Margin for Errors, right? That's again based on military, right? So what is the
Yes.
book about? Yeah. And that's the third
No,
book in this series, right? Yeah.
yeah. See, the second book is on the double.
Yes.
Uh,
On the double.
the first one was Boots Bills, and this is the second. And the third one is No Margin for Error. So
Right.
this
Right.
actually starts with the Mumbai attacks.
Okay.
So it is a, it starts very dramatically with the
Mhm.
terrorists and these men going and handling them, and then one of them dies in the gun battle,
Right.
and his best friend narrates the whole story right from their training onwards to the present. So that's the coverage of this book.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think, as you said, that your first two books are going to be adapted in web series. So, how did that happen? How did you feel? How uh, how did it get into this? Like, and what's your experience? Yeah.
Actually, means just imagine, it's been many years since that book came out. It came out in 2006 or so.
Okay.
Woodspells, I even forget. I think it was 2006 or
Yeah.
7 something. So means like it was something unexpected, and
Mhm.
suddenly I had quite a few people reaching out to me. I didn't even really know what web series was all about. It's hilarious because that time web series was not so
Ab-
common, and we had these movies or television serials. So
yes.
what is a web series? I was highly confused. What is a web series? And then of course I felt very foolish, and then it followed, and of course it was very exciting. It was unbelievable. It was like a dream come true. And
Absolutely. Yes.
it was, means like, as an author you always want your book to reach more and
Yes.
more people. And
Yeah.
since nowadays people have stopped reading, it's more about watching television. So I think web series is the better way to reach out with your story.
Yeah, I mean, lot of adaptation I think nowadays, of in movies or web series about the books actually, and that's how then people go back and read the book. It's other way around nowadays. And
Yeah.
but yeah, but in bookaholics I think it's sometimes that people first read the book and then they compare the movie. So yeah, it's both. Yes, but
Yeah.
definitely a good
uh,
way.
to promote it.
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
um, in fact, the Boots Spells Berets is sort of, as popular as any. I think it's my most popular book. Every second or third army officer I meet has read that book, or someone wanting to join. Boys, uh, sometimes I'm approached in the libraries, ma'am, are you the one who wrote Good Spells? Please, I
right.
want your signature. Things like that, means like, uh, it's unbelievable the number of messages I get on my website about boot spells. It is just, and it's very, very satisfying.
Yes, there is someone who has actually commented that, ma'am, I completed a book on Good Belt Barrett few days back and totally loved it and beautifully reconstructed about the life at academy. So yes, of course, it's your, I think, favorite one for all
Yes,
of that.
and so many times I get messages from these young boys who say that we failed once, then we read your book, and somehow it motivated us to go and try again, and we got through. It's so, so satisfying, to know that you have
Absolutely.
touched someone's life in some way. So
Right.
I'm thankful to God for that.
Yeah. And yeah, I think there are a lot of books which you have written, and I think, of course, this half an hour or that this time will actually fall short to discuss all about your book. But I think you mentioned that you are actually writing new books, some upcoming books. So do you want to talk about it and tell us, what are you writing?
Yes. I have this year. I have about 3 books coming out, unless they get postponed because of COVID situation. The three books are supposed to come out this year.
Wow.
One is actually ghost stories. It is the first time I would be writing ghost stories, and they're very different from the usual ghost stories. They're not the billy jumping from one corner or creepy sound. It's nothing to do. They're more with historical background,
Okay.
mutiny or something which has left a spirit, and that kind. It has it's a blend of truth and fiction.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting book in that manner. It's a collection of about 12 stories, and each one is very different from the other.
Superb. Okay. I
So
would.
that's
Yeah.
one, which was supposed to come out this summer, unless
Okay.
things go wrong. Keeping my fingers
Mhm.
crossed, maybe June, July at the most. And the second one I felt was, because lots of girls, the women officers in army, asked me, why this discrimination? You have written about the boys, but we have also joined the army. So I realized, yes, I should not do that, discriminate. So I have written a book called The Girls in Green, which is about the women officers.
Wow.
And that
Okay.
should also be coming out sometime in July, June, July. I don't know exactly. We are in
Okay.
the last stages of production. The cover is being designed. And it's again very hilarious and fun story, just like Boots, Bells, Berets, about the girls who train in OTA, that is Officer Training Academy in Chennai. And
I would
we know that they are
definitely.
doing very well.
Yes,
Yes.
I think most of us would pick that up because I mean most of us who are not in army, I think we would like to know that what is it like,
Well,
it looks like, yeah, from inside. Yeah.
yeah. And you'll be surprised to know that when it was in manuscript stage, it was picked up for adaptation. So it has already been optioned for a
Wow.
web series.
Yes.
So let's hope that it will also see the light of the day.
Yes, of course. I think, and as you said, like, when you write about military, army, or something, I think, sometimes imagining it and viewing it and seeing it in a, like, it really catches the audience. They really want to know, and people are actually excited to see, like, both the sides, not the dark. I get, not the dark is
I
the
like
right word,
that
but
motivates the younger generation. So many
yes,
people get motivated because they
right,
see. I'm
right.
sure
Because
after seeing Gunjan Saxena, a lot of girls wanted to go into the Air Force. So
yes,
it's
right.
like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was coming to that. After people see that, yes, it's not only, a bad side, but we have some good, where you can actually serve to the
Yes.
country, and I think it really helps. Yeah.
But I know so many young women officers. I mean, we live in a colony which is actually army colony kind of a thing. So there's so many, women officers, doctors, and even fighting nowadays. They are, pilots and things like that. And means like they talk very highly of the forces. One
Yes.
odd
Right.
case might be something which has gone wrong with someone, but doesn't mean that you sort of take a you know view about the forces.
Yes.
And the third book, I think, which should come out before the end of the year, is the third one in the murder mystery series. As you know, this was the first one,
Yes. The
Closet
collection.
Full of
Yes.
Skeletons,
Yes. Yes.
um, all Colonel Acharya mysteries.
Mhm.
And this was the second one,
Yes.
Before You
Before
Breathe.
you.
And the
Yes. Before you.
yeah, third one is An Invitation to Die, which should be coming out by October, November latest.
Wow.
Hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed. So these are the three books that are lined up for this year.
I mean, see, I really need to ask you this. This was not my planned question, but when you said you have three different genre, how do you manage to write? Like, it doesn't, I mean, I'm not a writer, but doesn't it get mixed up that, when you're writing
Yes,
something
of
for this?
course.
Yeah.
Yes. you must know they were done at different times. Like the third one of the murder mystery was scheduled to have been published last year.
Okay.
Because of COVID, it got postponed.
It got
Most
delayed.
of the
Okay.
books, publishing industry was going through a bad time, just as
Yes.
every other
Yes.
industry.
Yes.
So
Right.
books were postponed, and so that book has been postponed. So what was supposed? It was written 2 years back, more than that. And a book takes about a year at least, by the time you finish writing, then you send it, they get back to you. So by the time it is published, is sometimes even 2 years.
Okay.
So they're never, concurrent. You don't write them. It's impossible. It's impossible to write. I can't even, focus on an article if I have to write. If I'm writing about a ghost, how can I write about a, hilarious thing?
But sometimes different thoughts might be crossing you, right? Like, if you're writing something, for example, about the ghost or something, but you might be distracted, that something comes in your mind that, oh, I should have written this in that book, it.
No, what happens is when I'm researching for a particular book, I come across so much information which is, so interesting that I plan to do so many other books. So my husband says at any time, if one is to ask which is the next book you're doing, you'll have 10 points and 10 different books, 10 genres. So, but the thing is, in my computer itself, there are at least 3 to 4 unfinished manuscripts. So as the mood strikes, I'll restart another one and then continue, or maybe give up and then switch on to the other one. So it really is very whimsical of me, but I am that kind of a writer.
Absolutely, I can, because I mean, actually, as Mira also said, it's actually versatile. You are writing like so many, and definitely it's very interesting, and hats
And
off
you
to you.
learn so much. You learn so much. When I was writing murder mysteries, I learned all about strangling. So much so my husband used to joke, I'm scared some night you would take a knife and stab me.
Oh my God.
So it's like that. You're living in that, particular story when you're
Yeah,
writing.
right. So I have one question from from our member, that she says that you have written so many of your books. So which one is your personal favorite among all your books?
Very difficult. It's like you ask if you have a dozen children, you say, okay, which one is your favorite? No mother will say this is my favorite.
Okay,
So I'll
absolutely.
say my favorite is yet to come.
Okay,
So
that's a nice answer. But
but yes, I think Boot Space, because it was dedicated to my husband basically. So it started off as that, a dedication to him and his friends who passed out from NDA. So that I would say is one of my, very close, one of the closest to my heart.
heart, exactly. So I know that most of the, like, you have actually written a vast genre, but is there any book which is actually based on your own life or something? Have you written or have you thought about it?
No. In fact, my husband was toying with the idea of writing a book. He said, I'll call it My Life with an Author, Living with an Author. I said, don't you dare.
No, but you should try an autobiography. Have you thought about that? About your?
Maybe someone else will write.
Definitely. Yeah, we have
Because you can never be impartial to yourself. You don't want to write bad things about yourself. So someone else has to do that job.
Right. Okay. So, and yeah, I think we actually already covered, but there was one more question, that how does it feel your book to be adapted into the series? So I think, yeah, if you still.
It's very exciting. It's very thrilling. It is like, your dream come true. If at all any dreams come true.
Right. Yeah. And last but not the least, because I think I actually have, maybe when we meet, definitely I have a long list of questions for you, but now, what are the suggestions for the aspiring writers who are actually, new authors or new writers and who are actually willing to write books? So, what are your suggestions, advices to them?
See, I'm asked this question very often. And honestly, the first thing I tell them is go and read at least 200 books before even embarking on the idea of writing. Because writing is something which requires a lot of discipline, a lot of, um, it's not just about writing anything. Many of the people, they say, oh, I have written 3 pages or a chapter and then I've got stuck. So it's a very disciplined kind of profession or a career or hobby or whatever you say.
Right.
The thing is, today we have more writers than readers. The number of readers is going down and the number of writers is going up. Every in a party, at least every third or fourth person I meet says, I am interested in writing. My daughter is interested in writing. My son is interested in writing. My brother or my sister. Everyone asks me the same question. Now, I have just one single answer for that. That read. Read as much as you can. And then write. For writing, be very disciplined. Don't think it is so easy. If you have to write, say, about 1,00,000 words on your Word document, and then edit, trim, go down to maybe 50,000. Sometimes you may even need, because you need to be very impartial about what you're writing. It's something which people have to read. You are attached to every word because you have, developed that. You are, the creator. But for the other person, it has to hold the attention. And to do that, you have to be very, you know, it has to be pacey. It has to be talking some great things. It should be a little different from what everyone has written. Develop your own voice. Don't copy anyone. That is very important. That you have your own unique individual style of telling a story. Every one of us is different and we all talk differently. We all approach a thing differently. So why not tell a story differently? So just because one kind of book is popular, oh, romance, everyone's writing romance, I must write a romance. No, it's never like that. You can't do something like that. So be disciplined, have a list of, ideas, and then choose the one which appeals to you most. Then make a, proper format. Okay, I'm going to cover it in this, make a flow chart if possible. I am not so disciplined. I am giving a great advice, but I go very instinctively, maybe because I've written so many, I develop as I go. But for a first time writer, it's very necessary to have a format, because otherwise you'll go, way out. Instead of going to your destination, you'll be taking one lane here, one lane there. So be disciplined and make a format, and then go chapter by chapter according to your format. And thereafter, either you look for a good agent who can place your book with some publisher, or you self-publish. But then before doing that, show it to a very good friend who knows about these things, who can advise you. So as an impartial person, that person should be able to critique it.
Right.
That's my two
I think you nailed it actually, because I as you say now, since we are also like almost as a book club, we are running as a book community from last 4.5 years, and we have came across many such writers who actually just write. Of course, they might be pouring their heart, but like you actually said it right, that sometimes you need to have that kind of not passion, but you should have correct words, correct vocabulary, correct grammars. Even after editing, there are few things which actually you cannot connect. And there are few books which we have got, only reading 1 or 2 pages, we have actually not
abandoned it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
just remember that a person is buying your book. If he is putting in say that much money, 100, 200 rupees or whatever. He should find it worth reading the book. There's
Right.
no point in writing something which doesn't sell, because you are writing it for selling, I think.
Yes.
You want more people to read it, and
Absolutely.
to read, they have to buy it. And just think of that and then approach. Maybe
Yes.
someday, Jigna, I will come and take a workshop for your writers and tell them
Absolutely.
how
Yes.
to go about it in a logical manner. So we'll do
See,
that
we
someday.
definitely we will do. That's on my list because we just had a session yesterday on how to
Okay.
write a book review. If you might have seen, so you can go through that. And I think that's like as a reader, as you said now, we as a book community, we are helping to grow the readers. With this digital, screen time and lot of things, people are actually, forgetting that yeah, books are there,
Yes.
that will actually help you in long term and not on the bookish knowledge. So we are trying to do something for the readers, for the authors, and starting with that, many of people want to write, want to convey that, how to, after reading a book, how to convey those that. And many of the times people just write the summary of the book. No, that's not a book review. You have to write something. So
Yeah.
Tulika actually
Hmm.
conducted a really very nice session, like so crisp that how to write a book review. And definitely for the writers, for the aspiring writers, we will definitely have this session. Yeah.
Not only that, I find many of the reviewers don't know proper English and they sit down to review. The reviews are full of grammatical mistakes. How can you take
Yes.
this seriously? You are critiquing a writer. At least get your language right. So that's very
Yes.
important. Maybe one day we will do it. And in fact, when the COVID is over, I'll come personally and conduct a workshop, which will
Definitely, definitely. And that's actually pending, and I think yeah, we will do it once. And
next
we
year.
have one more question from Pallavi. She is a part of our and group, and she says how to improve one's writing style.
Like I said, Pallavi, everyone should have a unique voice. So think of it about, that you're narrating a story to, say, a friend. And maybe you should do that. You narrate the story that you want to write and see if it holds her attention, because it will take you a long time to narrate. If the story is interesting, that person will listen. Otherwise, that person's mind will wander. So you immediately know the reaction to your story. Okay. Now don't choose a friend who will say, bahut acha for no matter what you tell. So take some honest opinion. And first thing is to try that out. If it works, sit down and write it. And to improve the voice, like I said, you read a lot. When you read, you find so many various ways of expressing yourself. This is something which you can't teach someone, the expression. It has to come
Um,
through, knowledge. And that knowledge can be only gained by reading. So, like I said, read at least, if not 200, at least 100 books in different things. Don't pick up, the bestsellers and all that. Read classics, read good, renowned authors, and then learn from their expression, how the sentence is constructed. Even that has changed over a period of time. Language is a dynamic thing. Today, what is spoken was not there yesterday. So you have to suit your language according to, the changing times. That doesn't mean that you use WhatsApp language. You have to use proper English, no abbreviations. But yes, you have to learn the dynamics of the language.
yes, absolutely. Yes. And I think there is one more question from Devdatta. She says that how important it is to have beta readers.
Very important. I think as a new writer, one should always have a trustworthy beta reader. Trustworthy in caps, underlined, bold. Okay, because you don't want a beta reader who will say, "Oh, it's very good," without reading. Someone can do that just because he's a friend or she's a friend, just to please you. We don't want that. We want someone who hates you maybe, but is willing to read it, because that person will give you the honest opinion and will not just praise you. So when someone gives you honest opinion, you incorporate that. Don't get touchy. Generally we get touchy. Oh, he said this, I have written it with great passion, I put in so much effort. No, but that doesn't work. Beta readers are supposed to give you frank and honest opinion about your work, not praise it, not rubbish it either, but honest. So yes, it is very important.
Right. Yeah, and there are almost I work from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and have this day job. How to schedule my day? Sometimes I am tired to write. I have weekends off though.
Yes, I can imagine if you're working from 6 to 3, your mind will be quite exhausted. So some people like to work late at night. Some people get up very early and read. So you have to schedule your, say, you don't have to write a lot in one day. You write 500 words to begin with. And as you feel charged, make it grow 1000, 1500. But don't write too much either, because that will, sort of not be good. You'll be forcing yourself to write. Start small. Maybe get up an hour earlier. Your mind will be fresh at that time. Exhausted mind can't be creative.
Right.
Just remember that. You need to have a creative mind to be able to concentrate, to give your best output there. So for that, you need to get up early. Maybe you frame the story or what you're going to write in the morning, the night before. And sometimes it really helps to sleep over it. So start early. That's what I would say, because naturally exhaustion doesn't, help.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And there is one more. Being a writer, do you prefer physical, digital books? And what do you see about it in the future?
See, I'm still the old school of thought where I love to hold a book and turn the pages and smell the fresh print and, feel the book in my hand and take it anywhere and read. But over a period of time, my collection grew so much that I was warned that either you can live in the house or your books can live in the house. So I bought a Kindle and I donated a lot of books. I think they went by gratefuls to various libraries, but still I have a lot. And now I don't have space. So now I buy only the ones I really want to reread,
Okay.
classics. So something really good, which I want to reread. Of course, sometimes I just give them away again. But I have also bought a Kindle and Chalta Fulta types now, which I'll read only once. Some, so those I download on my Kindle and
Okay. Someone actually asked you that would you like to suggest some authors and who are like your favorite authors?
see. I'll again say that don't go by my favorite authors. I love P.G. Woodhouse because he makes me forget all the blues. Anytime I'm low down in spirit, I have to just pick up a P.G. Woodhouse and read, and I feel so cheerful again. I love Agatha Christie. I love, Oscar Wilde's works and Mopassa, O. Henry. So these are the classics. I have learned a lot from reading those. So if you ask me, I would love to suggest those, because classics are something which, and of course, even, things like Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen books and things like that. The language that you, and the formation of ideas, you learn a lot about them, which I can't really
Absolutely.
say for the new books so much. Yes, there are very good books out there, but it would be, improper for me to, suggest one particular author or anything, because I read so much. I read a lot. So lately I've been reading Anne Tyler and I've been hooked to her books. So it depends on what kind of books you like.
That's yeah. So I think yeah, there are few people who are joining and there are few questions. I think we can check that and maybe we can respond to them. And we are already over time, but it was, as I said, 1 hour, half an hour. It's actually less to converse with you, to talk about all your books. All, I mean, we have just talked about couple of books, I can say, in detail, not so many, but it was actually very nice, having a chat with you. As we said, Bookaholics is willing to have you and know more about your books and meet face to face. Most of us are were actually very excited in March, I think last year in 2020 March, I think that's when. So, but with that, we are looking all the best for our new books. I am particularly waiting for one book, as you said, The Girl in Green, right? Yeah,
The
I
girls
think.
in green.
Yeah,
The
The
girls
Girls
in
in
green.
Green. Yes, The Girls in Green. I think we'll definitely, I'll like want to pick that up. We'll pick. And
I'll inform you as and when these books come out. I'll inform you.
yes, and I actually like one thing which I just clicked my mind, that I really like the way when you post on Facebook also to give suggestions on which book cover we like. And I really like that. I mean, I have seen very less authors doing that, and I actually wait for that. Okay, now Tanishree's post, which, I mean, I suggest something and I actually wait that which one you have selected. Is
Oh
that
God,
my?
for the girls in green, I have turned down all the covers that came. I didn't like a single one. They sent me about 4 or 5, and I
Okay.
just didn't like any of them. So next time they send me a few, I'll put them up.
Yes, but I really like that. That is actually a nice way. I think it's a really very very good gesture, like, which I have seen from you, and that's how I keep on. I mean, most of us keep on getting attracted with you, like the way you write, the way you interact, the way you connect with the readers. It's really very interesting. Yes, and
I'm so
thanks a
happy
lot.
that I was here and I could, speak to you people. Maybe I said something which might help someone. I hope so.
Yes, yes, definitely. So thanks a lot. And Bookaholics actually very overwhelmed to have you. And we definitely need like authors like you who actually help, all the readers who like, upcoming readers. And I think the way you write the books, it will definitely help them. Yes,
Anytime, anytime. Just let me know and I'll make time.
yes. Thank you. Thanks. And I think
Thank you.
all
Thank
the
you for
best.
having me. And thanks to everyone who spared time to come and listen to me talk. I hope to connect with you some other time again. Have a great time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and wear a mask.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, stay safe, stay at home, and read books, lot of books. Read
Yes,
Tanushree's
read a
book.
lot of books. Yes, because that is what makes us write. That is what
Yes,
motivates us to write.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Bye.